that has taken upon herself to satisfy the needs of the people that are dying in our villages and towns in Ghana. So I would like to call upon Claire Cunningham, Jane Face Company, to accept no more than earrings, gold chain, pure gold chain. This is not an imitation. This is coming from the former Gold Coast. So when we talk about gold, we are gold. And as you can see around here, whatever we have here is all golden. And that's why we especially organize this event to represent the gift that we are about to present to you today, and in honor of Project Cure. And as I speak, there has been a team of doctors that have just returned from Ghana that went to the Tepa District Hospital to organize a clinic. And they are set to go to all areas of Ghana in the coming years. Asanteman is leading this effort. Ghanaians are leading this effort. So together, we will make a difference. So I present to you Claire Cunningham, my friend, gold earrings, necklace, and a plaque. That's it. Just to say thank you for your work. Thank you very much.
I'm very honored and very humbled to accept these beautiful, beautiful gifts on behalf of Project Cure. I would like to personally thank Mr. Rex Poku and the Asanteman Association, and of course, Nana Tepahane, for all your generosity and your beautiful partnership with Project Cure. To reiterate what Mr. Poku said, Project Cure is the world's largest distributor of donated medical relief to over 125 developing countries all over the world. And our international headquarters are located here in Denver, Colorado. We've been working with the Asanteman Association for over 4 years, but especially in the last couple years, we've had this beautiful relationship where single-handedly the Asanteman Association is responsible for delivering over $3 million of medical relief to Ghana. And since we've sent 2 teams of medical professionals to the Tepa region, and I believe we're sending another one in February. I'd like to recognize Dr. Nancy as well for being a part of this. She just returned from Ghana. And again, this is Jean Feist, our Director of Cure Clinics, who oversees the team of medical professionals that go to Ghana. So opportunity to speak on behalf of Project Cure and to thank you for being a part of the Asanteman Association. And I'd like to challenge each of you individually, for those of you who haven't partnered with us in the Asanteman Association before, to join with us to work together to deliver this much needed medical relief back to your country in Ghana. So thank you, and we're very honored to be a part of this.
The regional hospital for the Ashanti region in Ghana.
Now, we deemed it very appropriate to do it here in Denver. Since all of this is going on in the area of medical supplies and equipment, we are taking this opportunity to present to Nana Edusei Atwenewa Ampem, the Omahine of the Tepa traditional area and the ambassador of Otumfuo to Akona. Let me read what it says as a citation. We'll present this to this beautiful lady, and she will in turn will give it to the Omahine. Presented to Nana Edusei Atwenewa Ampem I, Omahine of the traditional area, by the Asanteman Council of North America, USA, his leadership as Otumfuo's ambassador to Akona, and in appreciation for his contribution to the well-being of the Akona family and affiliates in North America. Given May 2nd, 2009. And as I said before, this was supposed to have been given May 2nd of 2009. So, in recognition of your dedicated services to the Asanteman Council, we present this to you, Asanteman Council.
Miss Cecilia Johnson, who happens to have a special presentation, and believe me, she's going to do it very quick so that we can dance. So, shall we give a clap of offering as I call upon Miss Cecilia Johnson to...
Remember that, not only in good times, but bad. Not only in festivities, but reflection. My ancestors are calling me. They're asking me to remember what they went through so that I could be born. All that they have suffered, lost family, lost language, loss of culture, as they were captured, sold into slavery, chained to each other as they made it through the Middle Passage. Raped, whipped, lynched, physically and mentally abused, colonized, Jim Crow, water holes, and dogs set upon, as they fought for their civil rights. And now in a time of so many advances in the world, so much abundance, Africa still suffers. My ancestors are calling me. They ask me if I have no mercy. Do I not see the plight of Africa? Do I not see the connection I have to all of her children scattered around the world? Calling me to remember the 11 million taken and left for the Americas. Our blood, sweat, tears built the wealth that formed these new nations. Wealth squandered, used to oppress us, and to today still denies so many a decent life. My ancestors are calling me. They ask me, why do you tolerate this? Tolerate this, I ask? Yes, you tolerate your own genocide. How, I ask? Because you do nothing to solve the long-term ramifications of our collective history. You watch as Western institutions speak big words of Africa. You have the mind, you have the resources, you must now have the will. In 2001, Nelson Mandela asked, will the legacy of our generation be more than a series of broken promises? It will be if we fail to take action, because it has now become a choice. Africa needs a Marshall Plan because the data on the continent is grim, and the current approach to issues in Africa is like someone putting a band-aid on a gaping wound and expecting it to heal. Incidents that have happened in Africa over the last 500 years are unique to our continent. No one else has had such concentrated effort taken to destabilize and destroy our people. Africa has been raped of its people, plundered of its resources, and had the world sit and watch while millions of its people have been murdered in acts of genocide. Whether it be through the invasions led by outside religions, the loss of the 11 million years of slavery and the impact on the continent of its people, the European scramble for Africa in the 1880s to 1900s, and the subsequent hodgepodge of countries created and influenced by them, countries which still hold on to their European languages as their national tongue. How ironic. As Africans struggle for their independence, so many saw the dreams shattered, as our Pan-African leaders struggled to take over systems which they did not fully understand. Those who spoke boldly often found themselves murdered, others destroyed or co-opted, and millions of people killed in various parts of the continent as competing groups empowered by colonial masters sought to dominate under their withdrawal. I call these actions organized chaos, for they were deliberate and created the mess we see today. But we have allowed corrupt dictatorships and incompetent governments to thrive in Africa, mostly at our own expense. After the decades of discoveries of rich mineral resources and political independence, Africa is still poor, and it is the only region where the number of people in the year 2015 is expected to be higher than it was in 1990. In 2015, Africa will account for nearly half of the poor in the developing world, up from less than 1/5 in 1990. This number represents over 300 million people. We have over 300 million people in the U.S., so you can understand the magnitude. As we look to the future and prepare for our place in the 21st century, things still look pretty grim for this continent, which is acknowledged as a cradle of civilization. Africa has forgotten her history. Our ancestors are calling us. They remind me that Africa is the home place of the great pyramids, the foundation of great thoughts in the libraries of Alexandria, and the great centers of learning in Songhai, Mali, Timbuktu, that Carthage was the breadbasket of the Roman Empire, that African people and its resources have built the West, and many of our modern leaders continue to build the West by deliberately destabilizing our homeland, so that we run and seek refuge elsewhere. So a continent already poor that loses its human capital, its people once more in a brain drain. Our ancestors are calling us. They're telling us, we are the ones we've been waiting for. The time for action is now. We can no longer wait while the world promises in the United Nations Millennium Declaration that we will assist Africans in their struggle for lasting peace, poverty eradication, and sustainable development. And 9 years later, so little has been done. In many places, they are worse than they were before. So what can we do? We can learn from this example. In 1947, U.S. Secretary of State George Marshall delivered a 12-minute speech that changed the world. He described the dire economic and social breakdowns that were bankrupt the European continent and its struggle to recover from the devastation of World War II. Over the next 3 to 4 years, Europe required massive amounts of imported food and essential products, but had no way to pay for them. Marshall said, "It is logical that the U.S. should do whatever it is able to do to assist in the return of normal economic health to the world. Our policy is directed not against any country or doctrine, but against hunger, poverty, desperation, and chaos. Its purpose should be the revival of the working economy in the world as to permit the emergence of political and social conditions in which free institutions can exist." His speech offered few details, but one thing that was prevalent, he said, "There must be some agreements among the nations of Europe. This initiative must come from Europe." Now this is 1947 through the Marshall Plan. Within weeks, European governments led by France and Great Britain began drafting the Marshall Spending Plan. By the time the plan ended, 4 years later, in 1952, the United States had spent $13.3 billion, and the years 1948 to 52 had recorded the fastest economic growth in European history. Industrial production and agriculture exceeded pre-World War II levels. This Marshall Plan you see today in the European Union. That was the foundation of it. In an editorial in Life magazine in 1947, the Marshall Plan is reminded that problems do have rational solutions, that some ideas are better than others, and that it is even possible to think them up well in advance of a crisis. It is interesting that the U.S. found itself compelled to do this for Europe, but has felt no compulsion to do the same for Africa, and Africa has built its wealth. This is further compounded by the fact that in the years immediately after the war, Britain and France relied on African raw materials purchased at artificially depressed prices to rebuild their shattered economies. Between 1945 and 51, Britain made a profit of £140 million on on commodity transactions.